G'day and welcome back to another video of Bowler's Backyard. Today we're out here just doing some harvesting. Me and the little man and the dogs. Oh, we're picking all the tomatoes, even when they're not quite ripe. We're going to get into the corn. They are well and truly ready to go. We had some the other day and they're getting a little bit soft. It is in the thick of the summer, so everything, as you know, the last couple of videos, everything's going to seed, everything's dying off, all the cucumbers are dying off, and then maybe in a month's time we'll start being able to plant new plants. But yeah, everything's in the thick of the summer, so we're going to have to pick all these tomatoes. I got a bit of an insect infestation. They're getting eaten alive, so a lot of them are getting a bit gross. So I need to pick them. I went to work and we went away, so we haven't been out there in about 4 days. And when that happens, everything goes into a bit of disrepair. So we're going to get in the garden, pick a heap of tomatoes. We're going to have to make some more passata, I think, and then pick all the corn, and maybe even figure out how to preserve some of that. But let's get in the garden and pick all the tomatoes and all the corn, and whatever else is ready to go. This tree, this tomato plant, again, I haven't been out here in a while. It is going crazy. Once you trim off all of the suckers, that'll stop that part of the tomato plant growing, but you leave the sort of the tomato growing piece of it grow. Once the tomatoes fall off of that, often that branch will keep growing out. Oh, Eden. So I'm going to trim a lot of them back now because they are going, look, they're going everywhere. You lose a lot of tomatoes, but at the end of the day, if you don't trim them all off, they bush out everywhere. This is a perfect example. See, this one here came out and was going just straight to tomatoes. The tomatoes grow, and then a new stem comes out of it like this, and that just is a whole new tomato plant. You let that go, see more tomatoes are growing right here again. So you let that grow and you don't chop it off because it's got all the good tomatoes, but then every little, look, it's growing a new tomato plant at the end of it. I don't want that many, I'm sorry. So we chop all of these off. See, look at that. 3 tomato plants came out of that one tomato stem. See, it's doing it again here. Here's your tomato coming off here, the tomato stem coming off here, and this just kept growing out into a new little tomato plant. Chop that off, I don't want it. Something that I find super interesting is the tomatoes ripen down the vine. How cool is that? So you can see the stem starts here and they start getting red and gradually getting green. So they ripen at the start near the stem where all the nutrients are coming in, and then they gradually ripen as they go down further. That is beautiful. Stick that on your Instagram. All right, this is what I mean by this insect infestation. Now, for some reason, all the tomatoes over there aren't really affected, but the ones in here do seem to be. They look beautiful. But you come down here and you got those green bugs. They smart. Any experts out there will surely be yelling at me saying, yes, they're no good. But these ones are all getting shriveled up and dying. And they got little black bugs all over them. You can't really see it very well, but there's black bugs all over them. I'll try and find a better shot shortly. But they're all these tomatoes, but just in the back corner here, they're getting eaten alive. So I'm going to pick these and throw them in the compost. Try and save the rest of the bunch. One thing I have noticed is the yellow tomatoes don't really get touched by all the bugs. They get left alone. Every season I have these yellow tomatoes. They grow abundantly and they don't get touched by any pests. So that's pretty good. All right, so I think it's time to pull all the dill pickles out. You can see my little man has picked a couple, and this is what happens when they get really overripe. It's at the end of the life. you pull this apart and the seeds will be huge inside of it. But I don't need to save any seeds. I got some last season. I got heaps of them. So we'll just leave them in there. And I'm going to get in the back here. You can see that the leaves have started to die off. I haven't been keeping up with the watering at all, but again, they're at the end of their life. And you see the pickles, they start to die off before they really mature. I love refreshing the garden, getting all the dead ones out, getting all the old stuff out, and refreshing it all. So in a couple of months, in 1 month probably, I can start to re-sow a lot of these gardens. Everything's going to seed, everything's ready to come out. So these little wire pyramids, I don't really like them, but that's really all I got at the moment. So I'll put these in here to hold all the pickling cucumbers up. Oh, done. That dill smells so nice. There might be some pickles that are still good to go, that's fine. But the ones that go yellow, I did eat some last year. They just start to lose their sweetness. I find that these pickling cucumbers, they're really sweet compared to your Lebanese cucumbers or anything like that. These ones are nice and small, they get nice and sweet. So I'll hold on to that one, but I've got heaps. I don't really need to hold on anymore, and I don't need the seeds. So this whole lot, I'm gonna chop it up, put it into my compost, go from there. All right, time to harvest a bit of corn. As you can see, a lot of the corn, it's done amazing, and it's starting to brown off. The plants themselves are starting to brown off. Obviously, you wait for the corn themselves, the tips to fully brown off before you harvest the corn, but you can see now that the plants are starting to die. So I'm gonna pick everything. I'm not gonna go through it and find which corns are nice and soft or which ones are not quite ripe. I'm gonna pick everything. I'm gonna lay it out the front, pull all the corn off. We're gonna have to figure out some ways to maybe preserve it. I know you can lacto ferment everything. You can pickle it. Might make some corn flour or something like that. If you've got any suggestions, leave them down below how to use all of this corn, because I love growing this amount, but when you plant it all at the same time, they get ready all at the same time. So if you've got any ideas on what I can do to preserve some of the corn or to use it all, let me know. So let's go harvesting. Oh yeah, all done. So some of them were dried out, some of them were small, but most of them look like what I think this looks like, which is beautiful. Oh, oh my goodness. That is amazing. Look at that, beautiful. You can see some of the dimples starting to get a bit soft. Well, they don't feel soft, but maybe the moisture's just coming out of them, but that is perfect. We'll eat that tonight. And the rest of that stuff, I'll let that dry. I'll pick all the corn off of it, and then I think I'll chuck it through a mulcher and then compost. All right, so look, this is a beautiful harvest. We've picked a lot of tomatoes and a couple of the unripe ones, and we also harvested the corn. So you got probably, I don't know, a dozen and a half here, and we probably threw a dozen that were either getting a little bit moldy or they just hadn't formed enough. And so we gave them to the chooks or gave them to the compost. And as you can see, the corns, some of them that hadn't quite formed on the end there, but all of the flower tips that drop all the pollen down to there's technical terms that I don't really know, that fertilise it all, that all dried up and there was nothing else got to form. So they were ready to harvest. I'll eat the rest of this. I need to figure out some ways to cook them all or preserve them all. Is that yum? So you can eat it straight off the cob, mate. We haven't even cooked that one. He loves them. So that's there, the corn. We've got a heap of tomatoes. I'm going to have to cook some more passata or maybe even find a different recipe to cook. but we're going to do that as well. So thanks for joining me for a day out in Bola's backyard. We're in the garden doing a bit of harvesting. In a month or two, we're going to start doing the spring planting, the spring sowing. So join me on the next one. Get down there, like and subscribe, and join us on the next one where we make more delicious vegetables to eat. See you later.